There we go. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great start to their weekend. It is Saturday, December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. Also, Larry Bird's birthday, as Matt has mentioned to me, the card story. So, hope everyone is doing well. Um, I was knocked on my ass for about a week, and I'm kind of at the very tail end of this recovery process. I mean, the holidays, they do that, right? They just knock you on your ass. On top of family, you have sick people. And, you know, sick, I don't know if it's from family, I don't know. It could be from anything, but somebody who was sick passed on a bad cold over to me, and I was knocked on my ass for about a week. But on Thanksgiving, I did make a purchase on a Facebook group called the Oddball Facebook group, and I just got it in today. This amazing piece, which I've already shared on Instagram, Reddit, the Discord group I belong to. So yeah, man, I'm gonna show it tonight. I'm also gonna show it in a video to kind of give it a proper showing that way. This is kind of an impromptu way of doing it, but might as well share a little bit about it. Let me see who's in the chat so far. I got Keegan. He's the champion tonight. I guess Andrew is not around. He might show up later, so you never know. Steven is here. Hello. Warren. Let's see. Jason is here. Let's talk cards. Yes. Thank you. I'm trying. Still a little stuffy, but getting there. Theo says blame Kurt for the cold. I thought his card care has the capability of curing all sorts of congestion, sinus issues, runny nose. Not only can it take a crease out, but it can also clear your sinuses. Jake is here. Jeremy, I hope you're feeling better. Yes, I am, Jeremy. Thank you very much. And Jeremy got me thinking, man. So Jeremy got me thinking, and he made some good points. And about I don't know how many vintage chillin' chats ago, but Jeremy made some solid points about something. We should talk a little bit about that. Brian is here. What's up, Brian? And I think we've caught up with everybody. So let's talk about what Jeremy was mentioning, that he inspired me on something. So Jeremy inspired me. I was talking about the T206 portrait set that I'm building, and at the time, I have the Mathewson portrait, and I have a couple of Commons portraits, and so I was showing them off, and it was like a Red Ames, I think was one of them, and what's the other one? Merkel's the other one. Do I have him up there right now? I don't. Merkel was the other one. I think it was Ames and Merkel. And I mean, listen, Merkel's great. Merkel's a great player. Ames was pretty solid, from what I remember. So let's talk a little bit about that. I was showing these cards off, and they didn't cost me a whole lot. Maybe Merkel was like $100. It was 100. I think it was about $100. The Red Ames was like 60, $70. And so the goal was for me to complete a portrait set, because I know how expensive these rare backs get. But Jeremy Heyman, who is here, I think it's Heyman, right? Yeah, Jeremy Heyman. I think you're the Jeremy, the only Jeremy that I think is here. Jeremy said you should look at getting the Commons with some of the rarer backs, which I thought at the time, I'm thinking, well, I don't really see the need to do that. I'm just trying to build the portrait set. I'm not trying to break the bank doing that, but I understood his point, because at some point, this is the building the portrait set is meant to be a fun task, and I don't know. I'd imagine down the line, I'm probably going to think, I'm ready to break it up. Maybe I'll break it up and sell. Keep the Mathewson, keep the Marquard, keep the McGraw, and sell off the rest. And so Jeremy said, you should look into getting some of the rarer backs for the commons. And I thought, it's not a bad idea. I was kind of torn on the subject. But then I thought, well, if I do decide I want to sell these down the road, chances are the Piedmont, the Sweet Caporal backs are just not going to maintain their value. I thought maybe they would, but I'm second guessing and thinking, some of the rarer backs are the ones that people pine for. And right now is a golden opportunity to do that. And so I think Jeremy has something going with that. I'm not talking about breaking the bank for a Mathewson, because I can't afford a Mathewson with a rare back. I mean, that's just way too much money. I've already gotten a beautiful looking one from B-Roth, and I'm really happy with it. It's a sweet. I think it's a Piedmont back, but it's a really great card. But I think for some of the rarer backs, I am willing to put the extra money towards some of the commons. I think that's probably not a bad idea. And I want to get that vibe in the chat. Do you guys agree with that? Does that make sense? I mean, you have to think about it from the perspective of you're going to build this, then maybe down the line you're going to maybe break it up, but keep some of the key component cards. Does it make sense to buy some of the tougher backs? So, and honestly, there's that book out there that kind of like the T206 encyclopedia book or whatever, however you want to call it. I have it over here, the T206 collection, the players and their stories. It's a great book. So, I think personally, I think it makes sense to try to get some of the rare backs of the commons. And Jeremy's mentioning here, a Matty Hindu will hold over time versus a Piedmont in a 3. I agree. I think, but I mean, it's Matthew. Like these cards right now are just insane in terms of pricing. They're way too expensive. And I think there's a real hot streak going on with some of the pre-war cards, especially even T206. I think this stuff's really getting tough. The commons seem to be more reasonable right now. They don't seem to be going through the roof. I think the portraits of some of the star players like Mathewson, Johnson, Cobb, and the list goes on. I mean, these guys are just going through the roof right now, it seems. But yeah, it seems as though I'm looking at some of what you guys are saying. Yeah, got your Polar Bear shirt. Orlando's in agreement for the Polar Bear backs. Jason's saying he wants some of the harder backs on some of the more common fronts. I'm sorry, I get wanting some of the harder backs on some of the more common fronts. For me personally, the backs are not that important to me. Some rare backs aren't too much more, like Old Mill, T206. Yeah, I mean the monster. This is why I'm working on such a small subset of the monster. The portraits of the giants is not that bad. I just won a Wahoo hands at chess. I'm so pumped. I think it's Piedmont. Congrats, man. That's beautiful. I mean, congratulations on getting that. Where'd you get that from, Jake? Even secondary pitcher player portraits like Mordecai Brown, Rubenel have shot up in price. Yeah, I did do a video on T206 portraits of more common backs of Hall of Famers you can get for $200 or less in a PSA 1. But it was kind of like served as an entry point. If you're looking to get into pre-war, I think T206 is a great entry point for that. I'm not to say that I have much experience with the pre-war stuff, as I'm still kind of meddling with it. But from what I've seen, there's more chances to buy stuff from the pre-war period from those sets. I'm sure there's others that people would recommend outside of that. So, yeah, there's a lot of options here. Let's see sports cards. What's up, buddy? Good to have you here. Huggins and Scott. That's cool, man. I'm hoping to check to go to the House of Cards. I'll be in Maryland at the end of the month, and I'm hoping to take a day to go to that shop. It's I think where Huggins and Scott originates, or their origin is where they're located. So I'm gonna check out that shop there. Um, I missed 15 years ago when you can get a PSA 1 Mathewson for $150. Take me back to those days. Peacemaker is here. So, yeah, so, there's a million things I kind of had on my mind for this live stream. You know how I work. I work off the cuff. I mean, I don't really come in with a script. I don't come with any sort of pre-planned notes or anything like that. I kind of work off of whatever the flow of the chat is. But I was listening to Chris from Missouri. He had his YouTube frustration video running, and uh, what I gathered from it, there's a number of things I gathered from it, but one of the things I gathered from it is repetition. Too much repetitive videos that are being shown, and um, I'm not trying to put Chris down on this. I get what Chris was saying. There's a lot of just repetitiveness in terms of what's being shown out there, like VR videos, GIFs, and listen, I don't think he mentioned VR videos, but there's a lot of overlap in terms of what the content that's being presented is what he was saying. The thing about it is, as content creators, coming up with ideas, structuring new ideas, and trying to deliver new content and trying to be groundbreaking, you know how challenging that is? That is insanely challenging to come up with new content. Especially and that's when it stops being fun, is when you have to try to think outside the box. I mean, the whole purpose is to try to be not you want to be honest, but trying to try to think outside the box constantly, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. So I get what Chris is saying. There's a lot of overlap in terms of some of the content that's being delivered, myself included. I know I'm kind of in that clump of content creators that create content that has been seen over and over and over and over. But like I said, we're in a position where we're trying to think of some new ideas, some new concepts. And when you start focusing too much on that and having to try to come up with new content, new videos, it's just exhausting, man. It gets exhausting, and then you lose the flair of why you're doing this. So, and and what I'll say, and I think he mentioned this as well in his video, everybody's different. Everybody wants different videos. And I mentioned this on my on a video I did about, like, if you're interested in starting a channel, which is kind of ironic because we're talking about this. If you're looking to start a channel, you need to find your niche in what your channel is going to be. For me, it's card shows. I go to enough card shows that I'm fortunate to be able to have enough card shows to go to, and I record them to kind of give a live glimpse. Now, not everybody's into that stuff, but I know it's what delivers the most interest, what drives the most interest. So, for me, that works. For others, some people like to analyze and are great at delivering analytics to you. I try, but I only do it so much. I did it somewhat recently with the Mantle and Mays stuff, but there are guys that do it so much better that really drive home some really deep rooted analytics and some just interesting perspectives. So, like I mentioned, there are people that there are people that are like that kind of go that direction. But personally, I don't take issue. I don't really get frustrated with the overlapping content. You know, we do the best we can. We try. We work hard at it. Uh, especially smaller channels that want to kind of expand and grow. It's a lot, man. You got to. I mean, you can't. They. Uh, I don't really know what else. There's not much else really to say beyond it. But you got to just we got everybody does the best they can, and if that means that there has to be some you know consistent repetitive videos, SGC card reveals, PSA card reveals, that's the way it's got to be, man. So let me see what you guys have to say on this. Let's check it out. Sam, is anyone bidding on the REA auction closing tonight? I think it's closing tomorrow, December 8th. I thought it was 12 a.m. Usually it's on Sundays when they close, but I could be wrong. I made one bid on a card, but it it went past the amount that I'm willing to spend. So, the dads are here. How many dads are there on that channel? Hello, by the way. For most folks, running a channel is like video journal, just capturing what happens in the moment that leads to pickups, responses, hard to avoid. Always been that way. I mean, Alex has been here probably the longest out of a lot of people in this chat, so I take Alex's word for it completely. That's what I'm doing when I get a chance to make a video. Yeah, you just got to capture the moment, lightning in a bottle. Keep it fun. That's what it's supposed to be. If it's repetitive, but you're still having fun, who cares? Yes. No need to drive things up the wall. It's not easy putting out consistent content. Yeah, that's for sure. My show video blew up for my small channel. Yeah, I saw that, man. It was like up to 3,000 views, which, you're probably the Chicago Sports Card Spectacular highlight for that show when it comes to vintage. That's the thing, man. There's a lot of people who can't make these gigantic shows and they want to see what's there. And card show videos have expanded to become more of an opportunity for buying for people that don't have card shows to go to, especially if you showcase the dealer's information. Sometimes it's not about what is shown, but how it's delivered. People make the difference as well, not just the cards, just an opinion. So yeah, I mean, delivery is definitely a big part of it, which is why you see bigger growth out of some of these channels. I mean, I use Greg as a prime example. Greg being a teacher, he has the communication skills that cannot be taught. These are just things that are inherited because, I mean, being a teacher, I really think that demonstrates strongly. And you can use that as a great resource to deliver your content with gusto and passion. And people on the other side are drawn to that, so they stay locked in. So I use Greg as an example because he does it so well. I went to a card show today, posting it tomorrow. It's tiring sometimes spending day at every card show or at every show. Yeah. I was supposed to go to one today, but I decided I was not physically up to it. They do it every 3 or 4 months, so I sort of regret not going, but I don't know. I may consider doing something tomorrow, but I'm not 100% sure. Kevin Geary, we need more Willie Mays and Seaver content for you. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I do have a Willie Mays card to show you guys. So that's coming up shortly. Coming up with videos isn't challenging. There's not enough content dealing with hobby history. I can't do it all. People want more of it, I think. So, hobby history, what are we talking about here? What sort of hobby history do people want? Um, are we talking? Are we talking about the history of of collectors, history of dealers, history? Like, what in particular? What particular area of hobby history are you focusing on in particular? And I'm genuinely asking because I really that's an interesting point. Doing the same. There is enough space here for everything. I personally like seeing cards and pickups of my friends and really enjoy chatting like this. Steven, man, the you are the definition of positivity in this hobby. Never seen someone more excited to be in a particular card show like Strongsville. Excuse me. I like the repetitive videos. I'm constantly finding new cards I want. Yeah, that's another thing. I think that's good, man, because you'll get repetitive videos, but you will get a difference in collecting styles from different people. So there's that. Ryan, agree completely. When looking for content, when looking for content, cards all have history. So are we talking? So we're talking about the history of cards. You want like a history, like a 101 on a particular card, is what it sounds like. I said corrected, Sammy. You're right. Tomorrow night. Oh, no worries. Listening to Sammy in one ear and a 62-year-old the other. Man, oh man, I commend you, man. I commend you. If you need to leave because the 62-year-old, by all means, do so, man. Do what you got to do. I enjoy it all. Some days I just want to see cards. Other days I enjoy listening to shows like this. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Strongsville's my Disneyland. Brian, man, I think you probably spent a lot of time at every table. I think I saw you at every, probably every table. You probably dedicated equal amount of time at every table, and I commend you for that. Do you have any interest in non-sports like 1940 Superman, 1960s? Not really. I never got into the comic stuff or the superhero stuff, however you want to call it. There's collectors like Mookie who's big into that stuff. And Brent is here. Hello, Brent. Good evening, fellas. And we are caught up in the chat. I do want to go back to what Ryan said. I'm hoping he will comment further on what he said here. Hobby history. I'd like to know if we're talking a little bit about card history or other timeline moments where the hobby had some interesting turns. Should do a video on my non-sports cards. Yeah, I don't know. How much interest is there in non-sports cards? It seems like there's definitely a lot. I mean, I know Ryan Breakout Cards is into a lot of non-sports. He's a big enthusiast of non-sports cards. I know Greg Greg has some non-sports stuff, presidential cards. So I guess there's definitely interest there. All right. So I've done a lot of yapping. All right. Let's see what Ryan said here. So I really want to find out why and how the hobby was founded, our pioneers, the manufacturers, and how history and economics shaped the cards and hobby. So I'm not the best person to ask this question to, but this is why what you said fascinated me. The person really that should be doing a video on that is Blue Jacket. Dave is somebody that I think has a lot of rooted interest in the history of cards, and like where certain cards have come from. As far as the hobby being founded, the pioneers, I only know one person in particular that I sat down with and had a discussion, and that was Pat Quinn. And Pat Quinn was one of the earliest dealers to get into the hobby in the, I think in the 70s or late 60s, early 70s. There's Sports Collectors Digest has articles written about dealers from the 60s. There was a guy, I want to say, I forget his name, but I just remember dealers were, they were like almost entertainers in some way. They had to kind of create this image of, you know, to kind of make them stand out. So there was a guy, I forget his name, but he claimed to have like 1 million cards in his inventory or something like that. Had like a big poster at shows and wore like a gigantic cowboy hat. And so I'm gonna see if I'll find that Sports Collectors Digest article that talks a little bit about it. But my understanding is that like 71 or 72, one of the earliest card shows that occurred started at some guy's house in his basement. Excuse me. And there were about like 15, 20 people that showed up to kind of set up like a round table, not a round table, but everyone had their table. But it's not like what you see now with the glass display cases. It was just guys putting their cards stacked in piles. And back then, my understanding is if you're building a set and, I have the Nolan Ryan, but you need the, let me try to think of an example. You need the Jerry Koosman from 1970. It was like an equal trade. It's like, hey, I need the Jerry Koosman. I know you need the Nolan Ryan. We'll do a trade, and then we're good. Could you imagine? I mean, that's that's what it sounded like. That's how it was from these shows. Is that you go around the tables, find what you need from a particular set, make a trade, or I guess you would buy it. I guess, but that's, to my understanding, that's how it was. But yeah, man, I think that's a good idea. I might try to consider implementing hobby history into a video because I love the articles that I've read so far about it. Anyway, good points brought up. Dylan is here. What's up, Dylan? Man, lots of people talking about stuff here. The interview you did with Quinn was awesome, very informative. Yeah, he went, man. As soon as I got him going, I asked him a question. He just went into story mode, and I'm so glad that he felt comfortable to do that. So that was cool. All right, let's show some cards, man. I got a new card in the mail today. I'll do another formal showcase of this. But let's bring my other camera into bring my other camera into this. Doesn't look like much, but not a flashy card like the Coca-Cola card or the Stahlmeyer. Not as flashy, but a very difficult card nonetheless. It's not in the world's greatest shape, but hey, that's okay too. These are exceedingly rare to find, and I was fortunate to finally find one in a Facebook group. This is the 1953 Howard Photo Service of Willie Mays. It's a postcard, as you can see, and it is compliments of the 7-Up Company of Minneapolis. So this was very likely a regional issue. And it has a little message on here that somebody wrote at some point, which I was able to enhance and determine exactly what was being written, what was being said. So This cost me a pretty penny. I'm not going to mention how much, despite the condition. There's 8 of these graded with PSA, 3 of these graded with SGC. So very difficult to find them, but a hell of a card. But yeah, let's take a look at this close on the back. So you have the 7-Up. They were definitely in the mix of trying to compete, soda company, trying to compete with something like this a year before, the Coca-Cola test tips. I mean, something. How do you really compete with that? Well, this is a nice way to do it. So, great looking photo, great postcard. Excuse me. Who else is in? All right, so Tom is asking who else is in the set. Let me look it up right now for you. Let's find out. So Mays has it has the front is the photo is the same regardless. The back can either come just blank or it can come with the 7-Up logo. Excuse me, guys. So we have Ned Garver, Bill Hitchcock, Dave Madison, Bob Turley. That is who is in the set. Let me share the screen. So that's who we have. There's really not much information that's out there that exists. So it's not much. It is possible that the checklist is incomplete. So these are the different names: Garver, Hitchcock, Madison, Turley. No, not the Coke tips. The Coke tips has yeah, you have Yankees, Dodgers, and Giants. The test has Rizzuto and Mays. So when I mentioned the card had the, let me go back here real quick. So as I mentioned before, this card had a message written on it. Really hard to tell what it says, but I was able to enhance the image for you guys, so we can take a look. So this is what I was able to determine. I think it says something like hi Woody or Waddy or something. I'll send these to you, and I'd like it a lot if you gave me Stan Musial. I think is what it says on the bottom, is Stan Musial. Hard to tell. What do you guys think? I don't know if I can zoom in on this. So, hi something, I'll send these to you, and I'd like it a lot if you gave me, right here is where it's hard to tell, but I see an S, Stan, and this looks like Musial. You see the beginning of an M, but it fades, and then SIAL. That's pretty cool. If that's what it says, but it does, yeah, It does, Alex. It does look like a kid's writing too, and the way it's written. The way it's written, it sounds like a kid is sending a postcard, and they want to trade for a Stan Musial. There is some pinholes. This is very much a Mookie Chilson special. So it does, yeah. I thought it looked like Woody as well. I thought that's what it was, what was written. And more innocent times in the hobby. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So this would have been 1953 is when this 53 to 55 is what they're suggesting. Um, this postcard, from what I can tell, does not look like it was delivered. I imagine this was probably handed directly to this person named Woody, or hard to really tell what it says. It looks like a W, but it looks like two D's and a Y. So pretty cool. But I do plan on sending this in for grading at the Philly show. I'm going to submit this. I know it's going to get a 1. I mean, or I just, I'd prefer it if it didn't get an authentic, but I think it will probably get a 1, which is fine because I just want to get it slabbed. The condition of it is not in the is pretty not dire, but I think at this point getting it slabbed will preserve it, keep it well preserved, and it'd be nice to kind of have it fit with the other stuff that I have. Theo is suggesting that I send him that, and he'll send me a 58 Musial. I don't think that equates very well, friend, but I appreciate the offer. So, pretty cool stuff. Send the 61 Musial. You guys are crazy. The only thing I'm hoping for is that if I do send this to SGC, is that they don't create, create a giant slab to put this around. Kind of keep it narrow, put it in a narrow slab. That's what I'm hoping for. But pretty cool card, nevertheless. Tough card to find. Like she said there. Man, oh man. Oh boy. So, yeah, if you're going to SGC, it will be big, Sammy. I hope not. I'm trying to think of. Let me see. I mean, I know that's actually. We'll take this one out and compare it for size. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to put this back in solo mode. So here's another postcard. This is the 1912 Unger Baking Company at the New York Giants in Alabama. Yeah. So comparing it, the Mays is a little bit bigger. So I don't. Yeah, it might be too big. We'll see. Hard to say. I can at least bring it with me to SGC at the Philly and ask them what they think, and I'll bring this for reference, and maybe they'll be able to tell me, oh, we have a slab just slightly larger. I know Orlando had that problem, or not. He sent in his Mays Hires root beer card with tab, and they created like a giant slab around it, instead of giving a very kind of a narrow, a very slender slab to encase it. So, I mean, good to have it slabbed, but yeah, Theo saying it will be in the TV tray. That's a good way to put it. I don't know what their sizes are. I mean, I was really hoping. Um, yeah, I guess I do. I'm trying. I have to start looking at some of the other stuff. Yeah, so we got Peter on the phone. Absolutely, absolutely. Man. So, um, yeah, I don't know. There's not much else I was going to mention tonight. If anybody wants to hop on, they're more than welcome to. Uh, but yeah, let's see. Is Maze bigger than an exhibit card? I don't know. I don't have an exhibit card to compare it to. PSA and SGC. What's up, Petty? Failing the collector with slabs that don't fit should be another Petty minute rant. Petty, you want to jump on, man, and talk a little bit about that? By all means, I would love for you to cop on and you know talk a little bit about slab size and how they're cheating the collector. So yeah, Petty, I'll leave what I'll do is for if Petty wants to hop on, I'll leave it in the link for him to jump on. So by all means, Petty, if you're interested in jumping on, I'd love to have you kind of talk a little bit about that, as my voice is starting to kind of fade a little bit. Dylan is endorsing this. Go mix one up and jump on. Slab size MV. Oh my god. Yeah, they're crazy. I need that on a Saturday night. Petty's under contract. Can't use the words Petty Minute on other channels. Technically, if this is a for collectors thing, I kind of have some, I think being a part of the for collectors, I'm okay with that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he hops on. If he wants, no rants tonight. You're sick, and I have to listen to my editor, Theo. Theo's a for collector like myself. I mean, I might be Ringo, and he might be George, or not, or John, or Paul, but I don't know. That's fine. I'm recovering. No, I've pretty much, I would say, recovered for the most part. Outside of these, let's see, he has a couple of rants in the can we probably can't use already. All right, whatever. Well, if you're not going to hop on, then I think we'll call it a night, because I think that's all I have for everybody here. I'm not really much of a rant person. A little bit, I'd say, but not entirely. So, if nothing else, I guess we're gonna wrap it up. I'm fine, man. I'm good. Yeah, good. I'm good to go. Ready. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good, guys. Don't worry. No worries. COG, they've gone on hiatus. That's what I understand. But all right, guys. All right. Another time, maybe, Petty. Another time. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll get together soon. So take care, everybody.